Hello students, welcome to Political Science class. Myself, Mrs. Swati Hazare from Gokhale Education Society's HL High School English Medium, Ozhar Township, Nasik. Today we are going to learn Political Science of Standard 9th from Maharashtra State Board, English Medium Syllabus, Chapter number 5, India and Other Countries. In the last chapter, we studied the United Nations and got to know about its role in peacekeeping. We also got to know that India has always helped the United Nations in this task. In this chapter, we shall take a critical review of India's relations with neighboring countries. We will also understand India's relations with some faraway nations. India is located latitudinally in the northern hemisphere. We can see here the location of India. Here we can see 0 degree equator and 0 degree meridian, prime meridian. India is located latitudinally in the northern hemisphere and longitudinally in the eastern hemisphere. In this lesson, we are going to know the list of India's neighboring countries and the states of India bordering them. Like all boundaries in South Asia, India's boundaries are also man-made, and as they do not clearly reflect the ethnic and geographical realities on the ground, they have led to a number of political and territorial disputes with neighboring countries. India has a land frontier of 15,200 km. The total length of the coastline of the mainland, Lakshadweep Islands and Andaman and the Nicobar Islands is 7,516.6 km. India shares its border with 7 countries. Afghanistan and Pakistan to the northwest. Here we can see Afghanistan, Pakistan to the northwest. China, Bhutan, Nepal. Here China, Bhutan, Nepal to the north. Myanmar to the far east. Here Myanmar to the far east and Bangladesh to the east. Sri Lanka and Maldives. Here we can see Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka and Maldives are 2 countries with water bodies. Here Maldives, we can see here Maldives. Maldives are 2 countries with water borders. India and her neighbors. India occupies an important position in Asia. Afghanistan, Pakistan, Sri Lanka, Bangladesh, Myanmar, Nepal, Bhutan, China, Maldives are India's neighbors. Afghanistan. Here we can see Afghanistan and bordering states are Jammu and Kashmir. Here we can see Bangladesh. Bordering states are West Bengal, Mizoram, Meghalaya, Tripura and Assam. Here we can see Bhutan. Bhutan, the location of Bhutan is here, and bordering states are Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Sikkim and West Bengal. Next, China. We can see here China and bordering states are Jammu and Kashmir. Here Jammu and Kashmir, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, Sikkim and Arunachal Pradesh. Next, Myanmar. Myanmar, Arunachal Pradesh. Here we can see Arunachal Pradesh, Manipur, Mizoram. Here Manipur, Mizoram and Nagaland. Nepal. Bordering states are Sikkim, West Bengal, Bihar, Uttar Pradesh and Uttarakhand. Pakistan. Here Pakistan, Jammu and Kashmir, Punjab, Jammu and Kashmir, Gujarat, and Rajasthan. Only 5 out of 29 Indian states have no international border or coastal line. Those long borders are shared with 7 countries that we have seen now: China, Pakistan, Bhutan, Myanmar, Afghanistan, Nepal, and Bangladesh. Such extensive and porous borders run through different kinds of terrain, including mountains, hills, plains, valleys, forest, desert, and swamp, and are sometimes difficult to monitor, especially at a time when territorial disputes and security troubles still plague parts of the Indian borderline. India has established relations with neighboring countries on the basis of the values of equality and mutual respect. The Ministry of External Affairs, also known as the Foreign Ministry, is the government agency responsible for the conduct of foreign relations of India. The values of equality and mutual respect have a great importance in India's foreign policy. India has established relations with neighboring countries on the basis of these values. India is the biggest country in the Indian subcontinent. Similarly, India is economically and technologically more advanced. It is thus natural that India has a great influence among the South Asian countries. India is the biggest and economically most developed country in the Indian subcontinent. So, India has a great influence among the South Asian countries. Next point, India and Pakistan. Independent nations, India and Pakistan came into existence in 1947. After the dissolution of the British Raj in 1947, two new sovereign nations were formed: the Dominion of India and the Dominion of Pakistan. India emerged as a secular nation with a Hindu majority population and a large Muslim minority, while Pakistan, with a Muslim majority population and a large Hindu minority, later became an Islamic republic. Indo-Pak relations are influenced by the following factors: differences in the world views of both the countries, Kashmir issue, and third one is nuclear rivalry between the two countries. World view of India and Pakistan are totally different. During the Cold War, India followed policy of non-alignment and did not join any military alliance. But Pakistan joined America-led alliance, maintained relations with the Islamic world, and later entered into a military agreement with China. On the issue of Kashmir, Indo-Pak War took place in 1965, 1971 and in 1999. Pakistan respected neither Tashkent Agreement nor Simla Agreement. The Indo-Pakistani War of 1965 was a culmination, means arrival at the highest peak, which was a very minor dispute. So the Indo-Pakistani War of 1965 was a culmination of skirmishes that took place between April 1965 and September 1965 between Pakistan and India. The conflict began following Pakistan's Operation Gibraltar, which was designed to infiltrate. Infiltrate means the act of secretly entering a physical location. The conflict began following Pakistan's Operation Gibraltar, which was designed to infiltrate forces into Jammu and Kashmir to make armed uprisings suddenly and quickly against Indian rule. India fight back by launching a full-scale military attack on West Pakistan. The 17-day war caused thousands of casualties, that means death, on both sides and witnessed the largest engagement of armed vehicles and the largest tank battle since World War II. The Indo-Pakistani War of 1971 was a military confrontation between India's Mitro Bahini forces and Pakistan that occurred during the Liberation War in East Pakistan from 3rd December 1971 to the fall of Dhaka on 16th December 1971. During the war, Indian and Pakistani militaries simultaneously clashed on the eastern and western fronts. The war ended after the Eastern Command of the Pakistan military signed the Instrument of Surrender on 16th December 1971 in Dhaka, marking the formation of East Pakistan as the new nation of Bangladesh. The Kargil War, also known as the Kargil conflict, was an armed conflict between India and Pakistan that took place between May and July 1999 in the Kargil district of Kashmir and elsewhere along the line of control. Here we can see the location of Kargil. In India, the conflict is also referred to as Operation Vijay, which was the name of the Indian operation to clear the Kargil sector. On the issue of Kashmir, Indo-Pak War took place in 1965, 1971 and 1999. Pakistan respected neither Tashkent Agreement nor Simla Agreement. The Simla Agreement, signed by Prime Minister Indira Gandhi and President Zulfikar Ali Bhutto of Pakistan on 2nd July 1972, was much more than a peace treaty seeking to reverse the consequences of the 1971 war. It was a comprehensive blueprint for good neighborly relations between India and Pakistan. Under the Simla Agreement, both countries undertook to abjure means to give up or surrender, conflict and confrontation which had marred that means spoiled, which had spoiled the relations in the past, and to work towards the establishment of durable peace, friendship and cooperation. The Simla Agreement contains a set of guiding principles mutually agreed to by India and Pakistan, which both sides would adhere, means they become joint or united to while managing relations with each other. Next, Tashkent Declaration. The Tashkent Declaration was a peace agreement between India and Pakistan signed on 10th January 1966 that resolved the Indo-Pakistani War of 1965. Peace had been achieved on 23rd September by the intervention of the external powers that pushed the two nations to cease fire, afraid the conflict could increase and draw in other powers. Even today, the Kashmir question is basic cause of conflict. The conflict over Kashmir has taken the form of Pakistan-sponsored terrorism. India and Pakistan conducted nuclear tests in 1998 and there is perceived threat of nuclear conflict. Both India and Pakistan conducted nuclear tests in 1998 and that gave rise to new concerns in this region. Many countries feel that these two nations should not get locked in nuclear conflict. One more issue in Indo-Pak relations is the border dispute in Sir Creek area. Here we can see Sir Creek area. Sir Creek is a 96-kilometer tidal estuary in the uninhabited marshlands. Uninhabited marshlands of the Indus River Delta on the border between India and Pakistan. The creek flows into the Arabian Sea and separates Gujarat state in India from Sindh province in Pakistan. The green line, here we can see the green line. The green line is the boundary as claimed by Pakistan. The red line, here we can see, the red line is the boundary as claimed by India. The black line is the undisputed section. All attempts of dialogue with Pakistan have remained unsuccessful till date. Both countries have made efforts to establish a dialogue with each other. But considering the way in which Pakistan is supporting terrorists against India and is engineering terrorist activities in India, all efforts at establishing dialogue are proving to be unsuccessful. Come to the next point, India and China. The conflict between India and China is on two issues, border issue and status of Tibet. The line of actual control, LAC, we can see here line of actual control, this is the line of actual control, is a national demarcation line that separates Indian controlled territory from Chinese controlled territory. Here Indian territory and here is a Chinese territory. Means this line that separates Indian controlled territory from Chinese controlled territory in the Sino-Indian border dispute. The term is said to have been used by Hou Enlai in a 1959 letter to Jawaharlal Nehru. It subsequently referred to the line formed after the 1962 Sino-Indian War and is part of the Sino-Indian border dispute. Here we can see Aksai Chin, then area ceded by Pakistan to China claimed by India. Line of control also we can see here, this is a blue color line is line of control. The border dispute between India and China is related to Aksai chain, where here Aksai chain and McMahon line, here we can see McMahon line. Means the border dispute between India and China is related to Aksai chain area and the McMahon line. China claims that the area south of Aksai chain and McMahon line is Chinese territory. Here south of Aksai chain and this territory is Chinese territory. China is not willing to agree that McMahon line is an international border. India made several efforts to sort this border dispute by means of dialogue, but it has not met with such success. In 1962, China attacked India. The Sino-Indian War, also known as the Indo-China War and Sino-Indian border conflict, was a war between China and India that occurred in 1962. A Chinese disputed Himalayan border was the main cause of the war. There had been a series of violent border skirmishes between the two countries. Tibet was traditionally autonomous. But when China was stepping up its military control in Tibet, Dalai Lama took asylum in India. This issue has been responsible for the conflict between the two countries. The growing friendship between China and Pakistan is a threat to India's security. China supplies weapons and missiles and nuclear weapons technology to Pakistan. The threat to India's security is increasing due to the friendship between China and Pakistan, supply of weapons from China to Pakistan, and also transfer of missile and nuclear weapons technology. The increasing friendship between China and Pakistan and increasing influence of China over India's other neighbors is a cause of concern for India. Since the 1962 Sino-Indian War, Pakistan has supported China on most issues of importance to the latter, especially those related to Taiwan and Tibet and other sensitive issues such as human rights. The Chinese leadership also has acknowledged Pakistan's steadfast support on key issues. Steadfast support, that means steady support or constant support on key issues. Pakistan has collaborated with China in extensive military and economic projects. China also has a consistent record of supporting Pakistan in regional issues. Pakistan's military depends heavily on Chinese armaments, and joint projects of both economic and militaristic importance are ongoing. China has supplied blueprints to support Pakistan's nuclear program. India tried to restore normalcy in the relationship since 1987. A joint executive group was set up to solve the Sino-Indian border dispute. India has always made efforts to improve relations with China. A joint executive group has been set up to solve the Sino-Indian border dispute. When the rate of economic growth of both India and China increased, the trade relations between both the countries began to get strengthened. Because of improvement in economic and trade relations between India and China and a series of tripartite talk between Russia, China and India, Sino-Indian relations are improving slowly. Even though the border dispute is not completely resolved, it has taken a back seat and relations in other areas have become more important. So students, today we have learnt about India and her neighbors Pakistan and China. In the second part, we will proceed with India and other neighbors. Thanks for watching.